As you've seen throughout the video, what we've created is a much bigger space, able to put the front on the compost bins and build up the pile much higher. What we'll do as we get through today, another couple of days, we'll move this pile over the other side and continue to add some more greens, some more browns and some more coffee grounds. The key to compost is to keep the heat, the water continually being rotated throughout your pile, and then as you'll see when we get to video 3, when the compost is finally made, just the richness it gives to your property, to your farm. And the key thing is, all of this is recycled material. You need to go to your local coffee roaster. They always have pallets. They always have Hessian bags with the beans, and this gives you a really good basis of creating compost without having to spend a lot of money on new bins. As we've already seen with the compost number 2 video, a key part of what we want to do now is ensure that the compost pile starts to heat up, which it has, and what we can now do is shift from the first bay to the second bay, and in this occasion we're then going to put on fronts to the compost bay so that we can increase the temperature and also increase the amount of compost that we have. So as you can see, the pile has dropped from the first compost that we placed a couple of weeks ago, and we're now going to increase that size. The temperature to have a hot compost pile work for you. Let's discuss Celsius first. Is anywhere between 49 to 77. For those of you that have Fahrenheit, it's between 120 and 170 degrees. And as you can see on the second photo, I've put my compost thermometer into the pile, and we've received a reading of 58, which is an excellent heat for this cycle in the compost process. I'm now going to look at creating the fronts for the compost bays. I again have my 3 of brown, 2 of green, and as you can see, the 1 unit of coffee grounds ready to go. The first thing that I do, as I've done with the compost bays, is to put the star pickets in, and I always have the star pickets below the top of the actual pallet so that no one will have any eye injury. I've grabbed a pallet and I've cut it in half, knowing that that's the same size as the front of the compost bay. And as you can see, once the star pickets are in place, I then put the compost bay front on. And as soon as I do the compost bay front, I then start to move the compost that's been cooking for the last 2 weeks from bay 1 to bay 2, and as I am mixing the 3, 2 and 1, I'm also mixing it with the compost in place. And as you can see now that the compost pile is continued to be damp, it's never got to the stage where the water's running off, it is just damp, and I add each shovel, each pitchfork, the new brown, the new green and the new coffee grounds, and it's created quite a large pile. And now, as we've done with the first one, the final thing is to wet that down, and then I put the Hessian bags on, and once I put the Hessian bags on, I damp that down so that it is again in its cooking process. Finally, I just want to reconfirm with you the benefit of creating compost bays at home, in your backyard or on the farm, is that it creates a very rich soil that you can then use on your garden for growing, for enriching the soil. And the key to do this is every piece of equipment I've used, except for the star pickets, have been recycled from that local coffee roasting company. To be able to grab the pallets, to be able to grab the Hessian sacks, to have the coffee husks after the roasting, and then to have the coffee grounds, means that as a roasting company, Blendco, they're looking at the whole process as now a resource and not a waste. And the more we focus on the coffee husks and the coffee spent coffee grounds as a resource, the easier it will be for all of us to have an environmental impact that one, stops the coffee grounds going into landfill. Two, it allows you to create rich compost from basically recycled materials and the resource of the coffee spent grounds, and it gives you the capacity to have a direct impact from an environmental point of view, enriching the soil and having less stuff go into landfill. Again, thank you and enjoy your compost journey.